Earlier today, President Trump signed an executive order essentially, for lack of a better phrase, banning WeChat, a social media platform owned by Tencent, a Chinese company. This comes on the heels of the TikTok decision, the TikTok banning, also signed into law as an executive order by President Trump. Now, a lot of people are losing their freaking minds over this. Oh my gosh, he's going after Tencent. He's banning Tencent. Tencent is a huge company in China. It's owned by the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. It has a lot of fingers in a lot of pies. It has a lot of companies that it owns a majority stake in. And because of that, a lot of gamers are losing their minds because they're afraid that they're going to lose access to those games. It doesn't appear like that's the case. We'll get into that in a second. But right now, let's take a look at the executive order itself. I have it up here. This is from the White House itself. And they are specifically aiming for WeChat in this executive order. But there is some ambiguity in what they're targeting. They start off WeChat, a messaging, social media, and electronic payment application owned by the Chinese company Tencent Holdings Ltd, reportedly has over 1 billion users worldwide, including users in the United States. Like TikTok, WeChat automatically captures vast swaths of information from its users. This data collection threatens to allow the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' personal and proprietary information. In addition, the application captures the personal and proprietary information of Chinese nationals visiting the United States, thereby allowing the Chinese Communist Party a mechanism for keeping tabs on Chinese citizens who may be enjoying the benefits of a free society for the first time in their lives. My cat has decided to jump down. She was gracing us with her presence, but she's decided to jump down. For example, in March 2019, a researcher reportedly discovered a Chinese database containing billions of WeChat messages sent from users in not only China, but also the United States, Taiwan, South Korea, and Australia. WeChat, like TikTok, also reportedly censors content that the Chinese Communist Party deems politically sensitive and may also be used for disinformation campaigns that benefit the CCP. These risks have led other countries, including Australia and India, to begin restricting or banning the use of WeChat. So right now, it looks like it's more narrowly tailored to WeChat and not the overall companies that Tencent has a finger in, a majority stake in, but that could be improper as well. That could be a wrong interpretation as well. Continuing on, it comes to section 1. The following actions shall be prohibited beginning 45 days after the date of this order to the extent permitted under applicable law. 45 days after. So it was signed into law, or rather the executive order was signed August 6th, which means September 20th will be when this becomes official. Any transaction that is related to WeChat by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States with Tencent Holdings Ltd. I'm not pronouncing that. Shenzhen, China, or any subsidiary of that entity as defined by the Secretary of Commerce under Section 1C of this order. And then 1C reads 45 days after the date of this order, the Secretary shall identify the transactions subject to subsection A of this section. Now, a narrow tailoring, a narrow reading of that might seem to indicate that WeChat is the primary target. Everything else is more ancillary. However, a broader interpretation, which is the more apt way to do such things with executive orders, is to assume the worst and assume that gaming companies will not be able to do any more business. This means that Epic Games, who makes Fortnite, Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, Grinding Gear Games, who make Path of Exile, they may all be wrapped up in this and punished as well. However, WeChat is a payment processor. So it's very likely that if these companies use WeChat for payment processing, yes, they will be caught up in this. However, Grinding Gear Games specifically, at least in the United States, uses Exile, a Russian-owned but Los Angeles headquartered payment processing business. So I don't think they'd be covered. I think they'd be able to skate by and go, hey, we're using an American company to take care of this. None of this information is going to China. Now, what's more, it seems that the White House has responded to the criticism. According to Sam Dean, video game companies owned by Tencent will not be affected by this executive order. White House official confirmed to the LA Times that the executive order only blocks transactions related to WeChat. Pending updates. It's possible it changes. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. If something happens where the Chinese party pisses Trump off a little more, they may decide to go full on scorched earth and prevent people from making transactions related to Tencent. And after that, then it's snail games. It's a slippery slope that 9 times out of 10 tends to be a legitimate thing to worry about. I don't think it's going to get that far. I think it's going to be, we're hitting WeChat, that's it. If you change your payment processor to Exile or something else, you'll be good. You'll be allowed to make transactions again. But if you're using WeChat, no, that ain't happening. I don't think the executive order is going to do too much, in all honesty. It's not going to affect the larger gaming player base. It's not going to affect really anything outside of WeChat specifically. I think they're narrowly tailoring it, or that's what the intention is, and they'll flesh it out, as time goes on. So right now, keep buying your MTXs, keep buying your hats, keep spending $42 frickin' on an Armor MTX with grinding your games and Path of Exile. Don't worry too much about if you'll be able to do it in the future. But I'm Spectre, and thanks for watching.